Welcome back. You're watching India Up Front on a day when Donald Trump has actually shaken up the Indian IT industry. Stocks melting this afternoon when it was known that Donald Trump had introduced a bill, in fact a very restricted and prohibitive bill in the US Congress, House of Representatives, to make it prohibitive for companies to outsource jobs, bring in foreign workers on H-1B visas to work in the United States and assist with the burgeoning IT sector there. This decision, when it does become law, will impact India directly. Some companies will be so badly hit, and these are Indian companies that exist in the United States, bring in cheaper but skilled Indian labor to assist in developing the infrastructure for other big US companies as support. NASSCOM has reacted. This is what the chairman of NASSCOM had to tell Times Now earlier today, spelling out what it could actually mean, the implications, but also leaving the Americans with a little bit of thought.
This bill has just been introduced, and there's a long journey and also an uncertain journey ahead. This is not the first bill to be introduced, and it's not going to be the last. There have been several efforts. Obviously, there are many aspects of the bill which are of serious concern to the industry if it does eventually pass into law. But I think there are many hurdles and barriers before that happens. For example, in the last administration, several bills were introduced, but none of them came to pass, partly because of the legislative logjam, because of political standoffs.
Well, there you have an initial reaction coming in from the Indian IT industry, the watchdog for the IT industry. Rajiv Kumar, Senior Fellow, Center for Policy Research and Founder Director of Pehle India with us. Also with us, Lord Meghnad Desai, economist. Good evening, gentlemen. Also joining us from Washington, D.C., National Security Editor of USA Today, Ray Locker. Let me first ask you, Lord Meghnad Desai, what do you make of this move? And do you think, in the long run, it might just end up hurting U.S. business?
You know, there are two things. This is not new. Obama was already worried about jobs going to Bangalore. Trump has always said that he wants to bring jobs back. So we should have anticipated it. And you know, it is never an argument to say, oh, it's going to hurt you more than it hurts me, because he doesn't care. He doesn't care whether it hurts him. Jobs he gets back will thank him, and the people who are hurt by it may complain. But you know, this is, protectionism has been always a good thing for nationalist, economic policymakers. So I think I only would say the Indian industry should not be under any delusion that this is not going to happen. This will happen, and prepare for it, because this is the coming world. Globalization is on the way now.
Okay, Rajiv Desai.
Yeah, Rahul, I think that one, I agree with Meghna that we should not take it lightly that because laws hadn't passed in the past, so it would not pass now, because now you know that the Congress and the President is on the same party and on the same page as far as this is concerned. But two other things. One, this could encourage technologies which would lead to more offshoring, so that Indian workers don't need to go to the US, but they can actually be Bangalored. So more and more can be Bangalored, and this would probably happen.
So you believe, Mr. Kumar, that there is a way of getting around this?
Well, there could be a way of getting around it, and the second part of it is, of course, that this would hopefully encourage Indian companies not to keep working on the wage arbitrage that they've been doing for the last 2 decades, but actually get into more upstream product development, system integration, etc. Rather than just keep, in some sense, exporting cheap labor. And I just hope that this would happen in a much bigger way, and that will see the maturing of Indian IT industry, rather than us being in some, what is called the techie slaves, techie mules, that's the word. And I think we should, to that extent, and we shouldn't have been surprised with it, because it was long in coming. And if the IT industry is, has been prepared, then I think it will do us good this bill, and I'm therefore not very concerned about it.
Okay, Ray
Make it
Locker.
India.
Yeah.
Make it India now.
Make it India.
Make
Okay.
it India now. Make it
Okay,
India.
make it India. Ray Locker, what do you make of this move? Do you think it's in the long-term interests of American business?
I think, long term, it's a damaging move for the United States. It's not surprising. Donald Trump talked about this before he was elected president. He has enacted some very protectionist policies already. He's proposed more. It's not assured that this will pass Congress. There are plenty of people who are concerned about it. After all, this was included in the 2013 immigration bill that passed the Senate. It had protections for increased H-1B visas. So it's not guaranteed it gets through the U.S. Senate. It might get through the House. But still, it shows, where Trump is going and what he wants to do. He wants to bring jobs to the United States. However, there's not this pool of American workers who are ready to step in where the Indian H-1B visa workers would step in. So I think in that case, it's an illusion. And one that could have, by acting upon it, one that could have a damaging effect on the U.S.-Indian relationship.
But Rajiv Kumar, some people have said skills, not salary, should have been the basis of this reform, because as we know, in the light of the STEM, or Science, Technology, Engineering and Math skills gap currently prevailing in the US, a thorough on-the-ground study of multiple factors, with skills being the primary factor, should have been the foundation really on which this bill should have been drafted.
Well, that's a should have been. But I mean, the point is that the politician always takes the easier way out and doesn't want to get into unnecessary complications. The STEM, if you make criteria there, then you get lots of complexities. You're going to be challenged, etc., etc. And the cleanest way really is the wage, the wage level. You just double it, so everybody who qualifies, then you assume that he has these higher skills, all across STEM, and this is what he's done. So in that sense, simplicity for any law, for any provision, is what we economists always advocate, and this is what is followed. So I don't think he's wrong on that. What he's wrong on is the possible impact on the U.S. companies, their own costs, and also the spurring of technology, which will mean greater outflow, to offshore sites.
And a relationship that we've nurtured, Lord Meghnad Desai. There's worry there too.
Well, our relationship with Americans is we are the supplicants. We may be helping them, but we are the supplicants. They are capital, we are labor. And so there's never that symmetry between those two. The thing is that American higher education system, not the secondary school, is much better. And it could easily rise to the challenge and train people. For example, in mathematics, in the last 20 years, many more Chinese have gone to America and enriched the Chinese, the U.S. mathematics faculties. Now, I think, as Rajiv is saying, what we really have to do in India is basically get out of this mentality and prepare our own upstream industries and compete. Because I'm sure we can compete. And that's where we should go.
We needed to develop a dependence on us, in the sense not just merely be in the commodity market, in this case the labor commodity market, which is what's happened. So you are easily replaceable. So you don't have a leverage here, and that's what you need to develop. That's what our IT companies need to develop. Hopefully with the government and the industry working together.
Well, let's not also forget, Mr. Locker, that most US-based Fortune 500 organizations are deeply invested and dependent on IT services providers using H-1B visas to source skills. Let's not forget that implication of this particular bill. First of all, I want to ask you, how long is it going to take for this bill to become an act? And secondly, what does it do for the bottom lines and the health of some of these Fortune 500 organizations?
Well, there's a number of things that can happen. First of all, We don't know when this bill is going to get passed. If it does get passed, it could be changed, it could be killed, it could be filibustered in the Senate, so there's still that. The effect on U.S. companies is they're going to have a problem getting skilled workers from abroad. And as the previous speaker mentioned, India is a supplier of many of these workers. So if that flow of workers aren't coming in through H-1 visas or B visas or something else, these companies need to find an alternative labor source. And that source isn't coming from U.S. people. It's not like the auto industry where there are unemployed auto workers in Michigan and Indiana, for example, who might get jobs back if we don't send jobs to Mexico. There's not a pool of idle, computer workers or IT workers sitting around who would get jobs just because we didn't bring in H-1B workers from India. So that causes a problem for them. What do U.S. companies do? They're going to have to go somewhere else to find that talent. They may send the jobs not in the United States, but just directly to India and hire a company there to do that work. And then the alternative for the Indians is, as one of the speakers mentions, to get upstream companies to do everything that U.S. companies do now. And then U.S. companies lose out on all of that. And there really shouldn't be any reason why Indian companies can't do that already. They have the talent right there. So the problem for the United States is if we limit H-1B, we limit the opportunity to get those skilled workers to the United States where they contribute to society, they pay taxes, they help the joint U.S.-Indian relationship because they understand America and help us understand India better. So there are many risks to this law, which is by no means guaranteed to pass.
Is building a moat the way out? Many countries have suffered, sir, in the past, Lord.
We have lived in India through a long period of protectionism, import substitution. When a country is nationalist, it's never a good argument to say, don't do this, it'll hurt you, you must be generous and liberal and open. Look at UK. UK has got Brexit, it now wants to control immigration. Everybody tells them they shouldn't do it. But countries get into this sort of madness. So I think we have to more or less prepare ourselves that this is going to happen despite the fact that it may hurt the U.S. Now, American companies will lobby to try and modify or get the bill killed. That is true.
You think that's going to happen?
Yeah, but they're definitely going to do that. But otherwise, they might relocate to, say, Ireland. And maybe our people will have to go to Ireland rather. Ireland seems to be the most near base because it is much more open than the UK is.
Should we be worried? Should we be worried, Mr. Kumar, of this individual, President Trump, who also doesn't believe in the normal?
No, I don't think we should be worried. I think we should, address him, address the concern that he's raising at the moment.
Absolutely.
And I don't think we should also kind of reciprocate in the same coin, as it were. Unilateral liberalization is what I propose for India, but much more than liberalization, what I propose for India is to really get your house in order. Lift yourself from your bootstraps.
So you would advise the Prime Minister not even to raise this issue when he meets President Trump? Not at all.
But to raise the issue of the fact that they will lose billions of dollars for the lack of the totalization agreement, where our companies pay for all the social security, but we are always bringing our workers back and they would not get that money back, so the fisc will lose there, and raise the concern that, look, the American companies are going to become globally uncompetitive. And therefore, just put it to him that what he might be doing is, cutting the nose to spite the face.
Okay, cutting the nose to spite the face. That's the bottom line. We leave it at that. Lots more coming up on the News Hour. Stay tuned.
But if implemented, it can be the big game changer for Narendra Modi and the BJP. So is the Narendra Modi government saving the scheme for the launch in 2019 ahead of the next Lok Sabha election?